Those were fair questions she was being asked by those senators about Tom Homan, about Jeff Epstein, about the National Guard being deployed into our cities, and she stonewalled them.
As we pointed out, days before the actual charges came down, Trump is posting Pam : time for action, right?
Does that look like an attorney general, or does it look like a spokesperson for the president?
Yesterday, we covered Pam Bondi in front of Congress, evading questions of all kinds from Democrats, largely about how the DOJ is now an arm of Donald Trump's fascism. Well, today we have a CNN segment with a DOJ attorney who resigned because of this exact partisan nature. So leave us a like on the video if you can. It helps us out a ton, gets us out there in the algorithm. We're really trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, and let's hop right into it.
Ryan Crosswell, he is a former federal prosecutor who resigned after the DOJ decided to drop corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Ryan is now running as a Democrat for a U.S. House seat in the state of Pennsylvania. So, Ryan, I appreciate your time, in the context of the fact that you resigned after the DOJ decided to drop those charges. As you watched Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, today, and you have had a chance to see her, I played some of the clips there, but you were able to watch it in full. You worked in the DOJ under her leadership. What was your reaction to what you saw today?
Thanks for having me, Aaron. It is so hard to watch. And I would ask the American people, does that look like an attorney general, or does it look like a spokesperson for the president? Those were fair questions she was being asked by those senators about Tom Homan, about Jeff Epstein, about the National Guard being deployed into our cities, and she stonewalled them. And I guess we shouldn't expect anything better from a Department of Justice that's instructed attorneys to stonewall judges.
Exactly, and shout out Sean. I've learned since that video that Pam Bondi came in with a paper of notes for each Democrat so she could deflect to personal attacks or gotcha questions rather than answer any questions or be stumped by them. I mean, does anyone feel like this is how our DOJ should operate? What happened to being the most transparent administration ever? I guess that just went out the window because all of a sudden the DOJ can't tell us anything about any decisions, the dropping of corruption charges against Republicans, the targeting of Democrats. I mean, it's sickening, and I just have to point out for how corrupt MAGA said that Biden's DOJ was and how they were doing this and they were partisan and controlled by Trump and all of this. Like, in 4 years under Biden, no whistleblowers ever resigned, ever came forward. MAGA never had something like this that they could run for a week. And in 9 months, we already have thousands of DOJ officials who have resigned and one who's coming forward for Trump already. Like, they aren't comparable. And it's time we start admitting that to ourselves. I'm talking to you, MAGA.
As we pointed out, days before the actual charges came down, Trump is posting Pam : time for action, right? That we know happened. And I played some of her exchanges with Senator Klobuchar and Senator Blumenthal. Let me play a little bit more with Senator Blumenthal. Here it is.
The night before James Comey's indictment, you had dinner with the President of the United States. Pretty intimate group.
Actually, there were a lot of people there that night. That's a great picture.
Was James Comey discussed at that dinner?
I love that picture. That's a great picture.
I mean, she's making a mockery of it.
Completely. And just to go back to what happened there, President Trump essentially posted an enemies list in that tweet. Then he appointed his personal attorney to indict the case because nobody else in that office would do so, which she did, and then they promised more prosecutions. And I believe that Mr. Comey will ultimately be vindicated. I think there's going to be strong grand jury misconduct motions, vindictive prosecution motions.
I mean, there's the fact that just to get this indictment, Trump had to fire a conservative prosecutor that he had personally just chosen and given great reviews to, who was now all of a sudden woke and radical because they won't do what Trump says. I think that alone gives the game away, like, to anyone with common sense. But then you get into like the Truth Social post to Pam Bondi days before the indictment, the dinner the night before, of which Pam Bondi refuses to answer any questions about. I wonder why. And you have to question yourself on how impartial this DOJ could possibly be. Or, like, even better, if Joe Biden had made a post directing his AG to go after Trump, then the night before indictments were launched, had dinner with them, do you think MAGA would have the same nonchalant reaction where it's like, who really cares, or that they aren't really talking about it? Or would they be freaking out over proof of weaponization? Like, now, why do you think it is that they're not reacting the same? That's literally all you need to know when it comes to whether or not you should take these clowns serious.
As Evan was laying out, Lindsay Callaghan adding these two new lawyers from North Carolina, two prosecutors, not from the actual office where this is coming from.
It's so telling. The Eastern District of Virginia is one of the most prestigious U.S. attorney's offices in the country. And that to me says they can't find a single federal prosecutor in that office that's willing to do the case and says she needs help. I think it's very telling.
When you talk to your former colleagues, are people feeling, do you think more people are going to leave, or are people saying that they feel they need to stay?
I think morale is way down. I've heard a statistic today that maybe 5,000 people left the Department of Justice since inauguration. And I think what American people need to understand is how dangerous that is.
I mean, weakening the DOJ has multiplicative effects in that they defend all of us. They protect all of us from a slew of criminals, right? But now, due to the politicization and the weaponization, people are fleeing in droves, which of course will cost all of us as they're less efficient in protecting us from those criminals. Donald Trump and his tour of vengeance is single-handedly to thank for this. But what he said is also super true here. The fact that she has to go to a different state just to find a prosecutor who would be willing to help her in this mess, who are also MAGA loyalists, mind you, it shows that nobody with credentials, with ethics wants to touch this with a 10-foot pole, and it will eventually come crashing back down. But for now, they get their optics right. The cult who won't question anything will be lauding this as, haha, Democrats corrupt, even though like James Comey's also a Republican, he's just a Trump enemy. They're not going to critically engage with what this means as, of course, we inch ourselves closer to authoritarianism. But great job, MAGA.